starting here. So, welcome to our Monday Mindset Call, where we are here each and every Monday for Monday Mindset. And today's Mindset Call, I hope you've seen the message. If you've been sent the link, today's Mindset Call is part of the March Madness series entitled Grace, Make It Make Sense. And I'm specifically going to be referring to the strong woman on this call, the strong person on this call. And I know that one of the things that God has revealed to me in this season is very clearly who it is that I'm called to serve. And, it's imperative that I'm very clear on that because there's a lot of things going on around when it comes to mindset and motivation and all of that stuff. But I think it's very important. And for each and every one of us on this call, a lot of you are coaches, mentors, a lot of you help and serve other people. I think it's very important that those individuals that serve others and pour into others have a safe space where they can be poured into also. And this is a space that I want you to feel comfortable. I want you to come onto these calls with a mindset, not just to serve other people, to take the content, to be able to share and help others, but for you to ask yourself, what do I need to do? What do I need to take from this? One of the things I love, and we're going to look at the text today and use, real examples, is how humble Jesus was. What a humble, humble examples we're going to be looking at today, and really breaking it down on how we can translate this in our rebuild and what does our rebuild look like. And we're going to be looking at Matthew 8 in particular, but we may flick to Matthew 7 and Matthew 6 just for reference. And I want to take I want to take a specific part of Matthew 8. And when you're taking your notes as well, I want you to just take down that we are going to be looking at 5 key points for the strong woman. 5 key points for the strong woman is what we're going to take from today's call. But we're going to look at different texts, but in particular, we're going to look at Matthew 8. And I want us to focus on. I'm just going to read some of it so that we understand a little bit of background as to what is happening, in Matthew 8, and potentially, actually, we're going to go from Matthew 7 first so we can get a little bit of background. So for those of you that are not familiar, Matthew 8 is where Jesus is healing people. He's, healing the guy with leprosy. He heals a guy who is in a wheelchair. He also heals, I think it is the paralyzed guy. He also heals Matthew's mother-in-law as well. Peter's mother-in-law. And he's literally on a mission. He's just going around healing people, and the disciples are around him. But before we get to the healing, I want you to look at Matthew 7, which is so interesting to me, that before he goes and does these things, he starts to say to his disciples a few warnings, right? And here's what he says in Matthew 7, verse 15, he says, "Beware of false prophets who come disguised as harmless sheep, but are really vicious wolves." So before he goes on to heal people and, lay hands and do all of that, he's telling his disciples to almost be vigilant, to be aware. He then says, in verse 20, yes, just as you can identify a tree by its fruit, so you can identify people by their actions. And he then goes on to say, not everyone who calls out to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven. Only those who actually do the will of my Father in heaven will enter. On judgment day, many will say to me, Lord, Lord, we prophesied in your name and cast out demons in your name and performed many miracles in your name. But I will reply, I never knew you. Get away from me, you who break God's laws. He says, anyone who listens to my teaching and follows it is wise, like a person who builds a house on solid rock. So before he does this healing, he is almost warning those, saying, hey, look, there is going to come a time where there's going to be false prophets. There's going to come a time where it's going to look like people are doing healing, look like people are laying hands, but they are actually not going to enter into heaven's gates. because they do not know my Heavenly Father. They do not know him for themselves. And so now let's look at the main body of the text that we're looking at today, which is Matthew 8. And this is incredible, right? So it says, large crowds followed Jesus as he came down the mountainside. Suddenly, a man with leprosy approached him and knelt before him. Lord, the man said, if you are willing, you can heal me and make me clean. Jesus reached out and touched him. And I want you to write this down. Touched him. I am willing, he said, be healed. And instantly the leprosy disappeared. I want you to write the word touched him. Now, remember, there was the lady with the issue of blood who said, if I can only touch the hem of his garment, I shall be healed. Do y'all remember that? So in her mind, she said to herself, if I can just touch the hem of his garment, I will be healed. Now we have another guy who has leprosy who says, Lord, if it may be in your will, can you heal me and make me clean? And Jesus then touched him. Instantly, the leprosy disappeared. Jesus then said to him, listen to this. This is serious. He says, don't tell anyone about this. Instead, go to the priest, let him examine you. Take along the offering required in the law of Moses for those who have been healed of leprosy. This will be a public testimony that you have been cleansed. Right? So he's almost telling him, stop chatting. Don't chat too soon. Right? How many of us have ever been in a place where God has done something good in our life and we're ready to go rumbling in our mouth and chatting too soon? He's like, hold up, before you go doing the bag of chattings, right? Let's just hold up a little bit and do some things first. You guys are following me, right? Then in verse 5, he says, when Jesus returned to Capernaum, a Roman officer came. Now, this is a big one, right? Roman officer comes to him and says, Lord, my young servant lies in bed paralyzed and in terrible pain. Jesus says, I will come and heal him. Hold up now. Now, I want you to understand that, and I want to use an analogy of maybe king. Who's our king now? I was going to say queen. Who's our king? I haven't known these people, right? The only king I have is King Jesus, right? I have no other king. King Charles, see it there? Can you imagine, right? King Charles, someone goes up to King Charles and says, King Charles, there's someone in need. King Charles is sitting on his throne in his yard. Is King Charles leaving the comfort of his home, of his palace, to go and help somebody? Or are they going to have to arrange some little meetings? They're going to get like security. They're going to do some things to bring that person to King Charles. I want you to understand that our God is not just a king. He's the king of all kings. He's the king of all kings. And he says, I will come and heal. So he is willing. He could literally be sitting on his throne going, listen, me are the Elah, me are the top dog, me are the top of the tops. Anybody who wants healing, bring them to me. He could literally sit there with his foot cocked up and saying, come, bring. But he says, I will come to him. I will go to him. That's the God that we serve, a humble God. A humble God that is like, he didn't even ask the guy, where do you live? Like, what kind of yard do you have? Is your house in, do you live in an estate? Are you in a block? Do you live in the back of the ghetto? Man's like, wherever he is, I'm going to come to him. Now, check this out. The officer said, Lord, I am not worthy. I am not worthy. This is the officer saying to have you come into my home. Just the word from where you are and my servant will be healed. Hold up now. So the woman with the issue of blood said, if I can just touch the hem of the garment. The guy who had leprosy, he had a touch. But this guy says, Lord, I don't even need you to come to my yard. I don't even need you to touch the guy because I understand who you are. And all you have to do is say a word and this guy is healed. He said, I know this because I am under the authority of my superior officers and I have authority over my soldiers. I only need to say go and they go, or come and they come. And if I say to my slaves, do this, they do it. So he's saying, if I'm just a soldier and I have authority with my word to say things and people respond, and you are the King of Kings, you are Lord, I need you to come to my house. How many of us have put parameters on things? Lord, when I lose weight, I'll start to follow you. When I've had enough time doing this, I'll do this. When I get the right person, when somebody else comes, we put all these parameters. He's like, listen, Lord, there's no parameters with you. Just say the word and I know he will be healed. And when Jesus heard this, he was amazed, turning to those who were following him, the disciples. And he says, I tell you the truth. I haven't seen faith like this in all of Israel. And I tell you this, that many Gentiles will come from all over the world, from east and west, and sit down with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob at the feast in the kingdom of heaven. But many Israelites, those for whom the kingdom was prepared, will be thrown into outer darkness where they will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then Jesus said to the Roman officer, go back home because you believed. It happened. And the young servant was healed that same hour. So hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. What do we need? So when we need something, do we need a touch? Do we need a word? Or could it be maybe that it's based on our belief system? Could it be maybe that what we believe for, that's exactly what God will do for us? Could it be that because the lady with the issue of blood, she put the parameter and said, if I can touch the hem of his garment, Jesus didn't say that's what you need to do. She said that. That was her parameter of faith. She said, if I can touch the hem of the garment. The officer, he said, no, I don't even need a touch. I just need a word. Give me the word, and I know he will be healed. And if we carry on, you'll see that he goes and he heals Peter's mother-in-law who's sick in bed. And again, he touches her and the fever leaves. Check this out, though. This is the part that blew my mind. So that evening, many demon-possessed people were brought to Jesus. He was casting out the evil spirits with a simple command, and he healed all the sick. This fulfilled the word of the Lord through the prophet Isaiah, who said he took out sicknesses and removed diseases. So my man is literally going around healing. He's healing people. The disciples are with him. They're seeing these miracles happening. And then, here's a bit that blew my mind. 18. When Jesus saw the crowd around him, he instructed his disciples to cross to the other side of the lake. You know what that tells me? It weren't about the fame. It weren't about the hype. It weren't about people clicking, to clapping for him. It weren't about the likes, the follows, who even says, thank you, Jesus. Like, it wasn't even about edification for him. He was about his father's business, and he knew the assignment that he was on, regardless of what other people were saying. He didn't need accolades or affirmation from nobody. In fact, he was running away from the crowd. He's like, listen, I don't even want the hype. How many of you have ever been bound by other people's perception of you? You're doing something, but you need somebody else to say it's okay, or you need somebody else to co-sign what you're doing. Sometimes, we get in a place where God has given us an instruction, and then we double count ourselves, and we're waiting for validation from other people. We're waiting for other people to tell us what to do. And here, Jesus is like, listen, I don't need the crowd. I'm about my father's business. I'm going on my way. And he instructs them. Here's the best part. He instructs them into the boat. And we all know the story. I don't need to go there. There's a big wind, the waves and the sea starts having a big storm, and the disciples are panicking while Jesus is sleeping. We all know this. But here's a question. Do we not think that Jesus was fully aware, if not, was the one that constructed the storm to come? Is it interesting that in Matthew 7, he says to them, there's going to come a time where there's going to be people that are not going to go into heaven's gates because they're going to be laying hands and casting out, but they are not going to be focused on the right thing. And then in the following chapter, he brings the disciples into a boat and test their character as they start to panic when my man is sleeping in the boat. Can you imagine? You're panicking about a situation. You're worried. You're confused. You're thinking like, what next, Lord? Lord, I feel empty. Lord, this, that. And he's just sleeping in the boat. He's like, when are you going to trust me? When are you literally going to have faith? And the Bible talks about a mustard seed. But when are you actually going to have faith enough to trust me that I've equipped you? Not only have equipped you, I'm with you. Like, can you imagine being in a boat with Jesus? Like, think about it. Listen, we're in the boat. Pretend that's in the boat. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. And the storm's happening, and you're with the guy who not only created the boat, created the winds, can calm the storm. You're with the one that created the entire earth, and you're panicking. Can you imagine being in the boat? Listen, I'll be like, yo, Jesus, wake up no dog. Just calm the storm. Like, Bridget, you can relax because he's literally like, yo, ye with little faith. Like, you lot really have no faith. Like, you roll with me every day. You've seen what I'm doing, and you still lack faith. You still want to do your own thing. You still want to be stressing over the little, you're sweating over the small stuff. But he warned it in Matthew 7. He said it in Matthew 7. It's almost as if, I'm going to be a bit facetious now. It's almost as if he knows the future. It's almost as if he's the great I am. It's almost as if it was a setup. Why would Jesus put them in a boat that's going to cause all of this? Do we not think that he knows everything? Do we not think that sometimes there's some situations we go through that build our character, that build our trust, that build our confidence, that build us? Do you know some of you wouldn't be able to lead and teach and help the people that you help if you didn't go through some pain? If you didn't go through something? You see, a lot of people look at your success and they look at the things you've done and they think it is maybe you went and studied some stuff or maybe you went and did some stuff, but actually it wasn't. It was sheer experience. It was sheer struggle. It was sheer pain. It was sheer sacrifice. It was suffering that gave you that content to help those other ladies or to help those people that you're helping. It was suffering. The Bible talks about long suffering. We think long suffering is a bad thing. Let me tell you something. Long suffering is what's going to build your purpose. Long suffering is how you're going to connect and help those people that you've been born to help. He wasn't putting them in the boat to make them panic. He was putting them in the boat to show them, have faith, to show them that you're rolling with the king. You don't have to worry. You're rolling with the king. So chill, relax, rest. Like you're in a boat. You could just be chilling, looking at the stars, looking at the view, looking at the storm. Like, yo, I hope it ain't going to mess up my weave. But guess what? I know that I serve a God that can reignite my weave, even if the weave gets messed up. Like, I tell you this, guys. Let me get on to the 5 steps because we're going to digress, and I don't want to digress. I don't want to digress. And I'm looking straight down my camera, and I want you to act as if I'm talking directly to you. It's me and you on this call. You are the strong one. You're used to being in charge. You're used to being the person that everyone listens to. You're used to being the person that they call when things fall apart. You're that girl. You're that guy. You're that woman. You're that person that everyone calls for prayer, to be encouraged, to have, to even give you to give them resources. You're that person that is always serving and helping everybody else. Sometimes it may be you didn't have a father, or you didn't have a mom in your life, or you didn't have somebody who really looked after you. So no wonder you find it hard to sit in the boat and submit. No wonder you have control issues because you've always had to be in control. No wonder you're so focused on helping everybody else because you've never been taught to sit in the boat and chill. You've never been taught to allow somebody else to look after you. You've never been taught to relax. How many of you know that when things need to be paid for, you're the only one counting the finances? You're the only one adding up on the calculator how these bills are going to get paid. You've never had anyone do it for you. So mighty God, let someone come in your life who wants to pour into you. Let someone come in your life who wants to look after you. Let someone come in your life who really wants to sow into you. And guess what you do? You panic. You run. You maybe are disobedient. God tells you something and you go into somewhere else. I tell this story quite often. I remember when Pastor Luke came into my life, I said to Anton, like, what does he want? What does this brother want from me? Like, he's giving me so much value. I'm waiting for him to send me a bill. I'm waiting for him to demand something from me. I'm waiting for him to take something from me. And Anton's like, Nikki. And when he started mentoring me, guys, I was on my face. I had nothing. Anton said, what can he take from you? You don't have anything for him to take. What? Jesus can't have for himself. Like, what is it that you think you have? What are you doing, Nikki? This is what Anton said to me. What do you have? You're so used to people taking from you that when someone comes into your life that really wants to pour into you, you are confused. So you rebel. Or here's one of the things I used to do. Pastor Luke will be ministering to me, and guess what? I want to teach him something. Like, I don't need to do that. I can sit and receive. Listen, strong woman, this is a space for you to receive. But we have to get to a place where we understand that God sees us, and the same love we give to everybody else, can we really ask ourselves, do I deserve that love or more? Do I really deserve it? Because this is where we have to look at ourselves. I realized I had low self-esteem. If you don't believe that God will send you someone or people to pour into you or give you an opportunity or give you a community, a sisterhood, or whatever it is, if you don't believe that you deserve that, that is not other people's problem. That's not everybody against you. That's not everyone wants to take from you. That's a low self-esteem issue because you're not believing that God actually designed it for you. Just like the guys in the boat, they didn't believe that they were rolling with the king. They didn't believe they were rolling with the guy that had all things covered, so they wanted to cover it. Let me give you another cross-reference. Abraham and Sarah. Abraham and Sarah did not trust that they had a heavenly father that would fulfill his promises. So guess what? Sarah says to Abraham, hey, what? Maybe God needed us to help him, and maybe you could sleep with the side chick, and then maybe we can have a baby that way. Because we want to do the work for God. We don't want to trust him fully because it may not be in our timing. So can we really trust him the same way we want to give to others? The same way we feel so comfortable. I remember TD Jake says, you feel so comfortable around people that need you, instead of putting yourself around people that feed you. You know why? Because it's an ego thing. You know why? Because it is a control thing. You know why? It's because we're scared to be let down. How many of us, we spoke at the event? Trust. That was a big one. Look at all the things that came out at the event about trust. We've been broken trust before. We've had issues before where people have let us down, talk about us behind our back. And so guess what? We put the walls up. But hear what? It's time to rebuild those walls brick by brick, ladies. But here's what we're not going to do. We're not going to build it on dodgy ground. This is why sometimes we want to build businesses, we want to do family, we want to do relationships, all this stuff. But because the foundation isn't laid correctly, we continue to have those situations. We continue to stumble. How many of you started something that was going really well and out of the blue, problems? You start a business, it goes really well, and then problems. You get money in, and then all of a sudden it's come in one hand, gone the next, problems. These are signs that we need to set that firm foundation. These are signs that we need to get ourselves in position to be humble enough to say, okay, Lord, show me how to steward. Show me how to steward, not just how I can live out the purpose of my life, but how I can be humble enough to sit under somebody or, to listen to your word, Lord, so I can go forward. I'm looking at this and I'm like, the strong woman. When was the last time you actually had rest? Someone said to me the other day, they were like, Nikki, I know the event was amazing. I hope you get rest. I'm like, I don't just get rest after events. I get rest every day. Let me give you a secret. People, I have a very good system in place. I have two, if not one minimum, but sometimes two midday naps. And watch me revealing my life now, right? I have midday naps, right? I have a system in place, family system, business system, relationship systems. I actually sleep very well. People think, oh, Nikki, you're always up. No. I have a routine that I have on lock. I am not losing sleep. That's one thing for me. I have a routine of, my mental health routine. I have a routine when it comes to massages and facials. I have a routine with netball 2-3 times a week. I'm looking after myself. I'm not just pouring. I have to make sure I find avenues to pour into me. I speak to my mentor at least 4 times for the week. At least, and not me pouring into him pouring into me, and I receive it without the need or the urge. And there's something that we taught with Dr. Miles Monroe taught it, and it's about giving to a king and how a king finds it hard to receive without giving something back. You remember that, right? So giving to a king You're always going to receive. There's always going to be something that comes back. So some of us, it's impossible for someone to give to us and we at some point don't give back to them in some shape or form. It's impossible. But here's what I want to challenge you to do. I want to challenge you to trust. The next time somebody pours into you, I want you to stop and think. Even if it is a Zoom link, even if it is a well done, even somebody congratulating you, how do we take that? Do we say thank you, or do we go, oh, this old thing, or oh no, I've had it for years, oh thank you, it was a rush? We start justifying and making excuses because we're taught that's humble. Actually, that's a problem. Actually, that could be potentially some mental health issues going on, that we are not able to receive compliments when they come. We're not, and people think sometimes not being humble is like an ego, like we're, bad people. No, not being humble sometimes could actually be low self-esteem. Our low self-esteem could block us from getting to the next level. Let me carry on. So, the strong woman. And one of the things that the enemy loves to do is to isolate and separate people, keep you by yourself. And we tell ourselves these narratives like, I'm just destined to be by myself. I don't do people. How many women have ever said, I don't do women? Or women, oh my God, women, I don't do people. I don't do. And the enemy will put those things into us. You know why? So that we can stay by ourselves, because the enemy understands that on your own, it's so much harder for you to fulfill the mission and the assignment that God has over your life. And so if you're by yourself, guess what? Here's something one of my old mentors said to me. He says, Nikki, do you like the results that you have? I was like, well, no. He says, and who are you listening to? I was like, well, me, I don't really know anyone. I don't really have anyone that I trust. So he's like, if you are not happy with the results that you have given to you, then maybe you should stop listening to you. And I was like, yo, that's deep. I said, that's harsh because, I'm the oldest of 9. I tell everyone what to do. I'm the boss. I'm that girl. I know everything. Like, I know things. Like, the Bible talks to me. Me and God have a good relationship. And he was just like, Nikki, no. You've got to stop. Relax. You've got to let go of. And it's actually not strong to just listen to yourself. It's not. It is actually a strength to be able to say, in this area, I actually need support. And I shared this before, and I was saying this at the event as well in regards to my husband saying to me, I remember Anton said to me when I was complaining, I was like, nobody ever helps me. Everybody ever calls me, they just want stuff. Nobody ever calls and just drops a little change in my bank account. Whoever calls me and asks me if they want to babysit so me and you can go out? Nobody. And I was on a rant. And Anton was like, well, why would they? So look at your Instagram. I wouldn't. If I didn't know you, I wouldn't offer you. You look like you got everything covered on Instagram. You don't look like you're stressed. You don't look like you're depressed. You don't look like you're broke. This time we had no money. Guys, I tell you, we were brocker than broke. I can't even explain. Petrol was low, cupboards were low. We were just shifting, moving around. I can be real with you lot because there's too much fake going on out there. And there was that time, I tell you, it was about 3 or 4 years ago. And we were looking at each other like, yo, what's going on? Stress. And I said, but where is all the people that I've helped? Where is everybody? Anton said to me, he said straight, when people ask you if you're okay, Nick, what do you say? I said, yeah, I'm blessed and highly favored. He's like, exactly. So if every time people call you and say, hey, are you okay? And you say, yeah, I'm good. How do you expect that? People mind readers? How do you expect to get the help? So you know what I did? That's why I love Master Anton, big up Mr. Anton. And since he said that to me, and some of my family could testify and tell you, when they would call me now, they're like, hey, how are you? Before they can even dump their stuff on me, I'm using it as a dumping ground. And some of you are like, oh, I don't want no one to know my business. I don't listen. What can they do? What are they gonna do? I don't mind people knowing my business, especially my family who can help me. I'm gonna tell you my business. Listen, I said, listen, how are you? I don't even know, because right now I need a break. Right now, the bills are coming out my ears, and I wouldn't even mind someone sending me some money for a change. I start to be direct about what I want. And here's what happened. Support started to come. Isn't it interesting? When I began to communicate what I needed, that need started to be filled. Is it a miracle? No, it's just communication. Because some of us want to turn water into wine. It's not a water into wine type miracle. It is now I'm opening my mouth and saying what I need. I'm actually saying this is what I need. It's communication. And strong women, we got to be better at communication. We have to be better at communication. You know, we're talking about collaboration over competition. Communication is something that we need to work on. Let's be honest, let's trust, let's be safe. And listen, give people, you know what I like to do? I like to give people chances to break my trust. And you can't tell if someone's going to be trustworthy or not unless you actually give them opportunity. Tell them something and see if you hear it in the wash. If you hear it in the wash, like, listen, let's move on. Strong woman, you were never meant to carry it by yourself. You were not designed to be alone. And here's the thing, God sees our cry, he sees the secrets. You know, we didn't get to do this session in on Saturday because the Holy Spirit moved. But the next session after the Spirit of God moved was about secrets. How many of us have secrets? And we're going to do this session in November when we have the event. How many of us have secrets that nobody knows about? I don't care what no one says. Everybody's got a secret. Everybody's got a secret. Every woman has that secret that deep down nobody knows. Maybe she's ashamed of it. Maybe it's something that she wish she can forget. Maybe it is, oh, it's going to cause too much trouble. But how do we move forward if we don't unlock some of those things? Now, I'm not saying make yourself vulnerable to every person out on street, every Sanballat, Tobias, and Geshem, right? But I am saying that if we're really going to heal, we've got to trust somebody. And we got to get good at trusting the right people. You know, we have to get good at trusting the right people. So the first thing we've got to understand is we were never meant to carry it alone. We were not born to carry it alone, right? Matthew 11:28 says, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." This shows us that Jesus recognized that rest is important. We keep pushing through sometimes, exhausted. How many of you have suffered burnout? I've heard this thing called burnout so many times. We're convincing ourselves that if we stop, everything's going to fall apart. Oh, I've got to keep going. I've got to keep chasing the goal. I've got to keep going. But now there's times when God says, no, give yourself rest. Listen, me, yeah, ask my husband. I give myself rest upon rest. In the seasons of working, I work. But I give myself a lot of rest, sometimes too much rest. It's important. It says it in the Bible, lay it down. God is calling us to rest sometimes. But it's what we do in those resting times. It's how we're resting as well, right? Rest is so important. The world, let me tell you this, strong woman, the world ain't going to crumble if you take 2 hours, if you take a weekend, if you take a day for yourself. The world is not going to crumble. And I know some of us have, children, so maybe you have to organize things, ahead of time. But the world is not going to crumble if you prioritize your rest, physical and mental. Yes. When was the last time you went to a hotel spa? When was the last time you just sat in your bedroom and just spent time with the Holy Spirit and just worshipped? When was the last time you phoned a girlfriend? I said it at the event on Saturday. Listen, let's go out to eat. Two of my favorite things, socializing and eating. I will make time to go and eat, right? How do you kill, as I say, two birds with one stone? Someone said the book to spa for Wednesday. Love that, right? We got to prioritize. This is how the retreats came about. Because I was like, where does the strong woman go when she needs a break? Y'all thought I did the retreats for you. I did the retreats for me. I was just like, I need some friends to come along, right? This is how the retreats came because I was looking around. There was nobody doing it. No one do like, where do you go where you can drink champagne, not overdose before the holier than thou people start telling me off, right? You can drink champagne, you can eat good food, have a private chef, luxury swimming pool, jacuzzi, and all that. Plus prioritize your goals. Plus talk to women. Plus have a movie night and swim in nice things and live life. Where do you go? There is nowhere. So guess what? Sometimes you may think that it's a problem. It's actually something for you to be able to create. And God showed me that every problem is an opportunity for you to create something. I see some of you been on the retreats. You know what it's about. We don't play. And no shade, but I ain't talking about the church retreats. You go to the one-star hotel. Don't even. We're talking about, yeah, so I put in the chat, luxury. Without the children. Yes, without the children, because you deserve it. Listen, some of you have got mum title, but you're more than a mum, okay? You are a woman first. You are a child of God, right? You are a child of God. And let me tell you this, your worth is not based on your achievements, because this is where I went wrong. I used to think if I make this amount of money, if I get these amount of achievements, if I have this title, that's my worth. No, your worth is not based on how much you have and what you've achieved, right? He already says that you belong to him. You're the child of a king. That is you. That's who you are, right? So yeah, that's how the retreats came about. Number two. So number one was you were never meant to carry it alone. Number two, you deserve to be poured into too. And in Isaiah 40:30 to 31, it says, even the youths shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. And you see, pouring into everybody else's cup, even when your cup is empty, is not only dangerous for them, it's dangerous for you too. Have you ever, can we be transparent? Have you ever been doing the most and it just takes one small thing and you just pop off, you just explode? It's like your cup runneth over, and not in the way that you'd want it to run off over. It explodes, it pops, right? It pops because you burn out pouring and giving to everybody else instead of taking time out for yourself. Don't get me wrong, y'all know me. I'm Mrs. Grind. I'm a put in a grind. But here's what I've learned: systems. I've learned to put systems in place. Listen to me. I have a 14-year-old son, soon 15. Man washes up. Wash plate. I'm whispering because I don't want them to think I'm boasting. But I don't wash plate. I don't. I haven't washed plate for years. We have systems. Yes, it needs to be done, but it doesn't have to be done by Uno. It doesn't have to be done by you. Right? You spend so much time doing things that don't have to be done by you and then say you're burnt out. Like, what are you doing in your daily routine that needs a shift? Have cleaners. Listen, some of you are worried about certain things that you are supposed to be an employer. Employ some cleaners, £10 an hour, £15 an hour. Get someone around the yard for listen, 2 hours is 30 quid. Don't tell me you don't have £30, right? Put down the weave that costs you 200 and take £30 out of that and actually pay for a cleaner. Save yourself 2 hours a week. These are the things that's going to help your mental health, that's going to give you back some time. I don't care what no one says. I'll rather pay a little to be able to get myself some peace. I weren't born to, listen, I'm royalty. I was not born to wash up. I'm sorry. I weren't born to hoover. My back can't even manage hoovering. What is that about? And we tell ourselves that that's being, no, it needs to be done. You need to organize it, but it doesn't have to be done by you. Am I lying? Even Jesus stepped away to rest. Even Jesus stepped away to rest. And if he needs moments to recharge, who are we? And why do we feel guilty? How many of you have ever felt guilty for doing nothing? I have learned not to. I sitting there, sometimes listen, I ain't that no more my business because y'all are messy, I swear. But sometimes, I say to Anton, I'm gonna cook tomorrow. Feed bad. Tomorrow's a day. I'm gonna hit the kitchen tomorrow. I enjoy making sure that I am not stressed. Stress is one of the biggest killers out there. And some of us are so talented, we're too talented for our own self. That's the problem, because we're spinning about 10, 15 plates, spinning so many plates. And then you sit down and you're like, boy, you don't even want to admit. You even feel guilty to say you're tired because they've taught us these affirmations. I'm strong, I'm active, I'm moving. So you can't even say that you're tired because you're not supposed to. Oh, that's negative. No, you're tired. You need to start out the system, my girl. You need to arrange your house properly so you're not worn out and exhausted. You want to be worn out and exhausted? And then you start getting these wrinkles earlier and you wonder why. So number one is to make sure we know that we weren't meant to carry it alone. Number two is I deserve to be poured into too. Remembering that. Number three is you are more than what you do for others. You know, the Bible says in Psalms 46:10, he says, "Be still and know that I am God." So that to me tells me that our value is not based on our accomplishments at all. He says, "Be still and know that I am God." That means he's our God, even when we're still. It doesn't mean if I make 100 grand a month, if if I'm married, if I am good at helping the neighbors. He just says, "Be still and I am God." It means that doesn't matter how many people I help, those accomplishments does not tell me my value. My value is not defined on my accomplishments. Someone needs to hear that today. Someone needs to understand that you are not worthless because your bank account may not show 6 figures. You are not nothing because you haven't married yet or you may be divorced. You're not nothing because you feel like your parents have neglected you or your children are playing up. Let me tell you this, your productivity is not measuring your worth. And we need to stop measuring our worth by our productivity. God already calls us and he already says that we're enough. He already says that we're enough. So we have to understand that we are more than what we do for others. Number 4, God sees our silent tears. As the strong woman, we get on with it. We keep it moving. Some of us even have forgotten to cry. How many of us have said, I ain't cried for years. I don't even know what crying is. And some of us, when we cry, we're almost like, oh my God. Or some of us, we cry so much, but we do it in private because nobody should dare see that we cry on that pillow, that we're frustrated. And crying doesn't even have to be the physical tears. It could be crying on the inside as well. The Bible in Psalms 56:8 says, "You keep track of all my sorrows. You have collected all my tears in your bottle. You have recorded each one in your book." You smile for them, but God sees the heaviness behind the eyes. This thing you don't talk about, the secrets that nobody knows, God knows though. He sees the heart. He knows everything that is going on and he sees you. And so it's important not to be ashamed. It's important not to think that you're forgotten because you're not. He is an awesome God. He will never leave you nor forsake you. He will not forget you. He is the God that is our Heavenly Father. He's your Heavenly Father. That means you are his daughter. You are his son and you are seated in high places with him. And we must never, ever, ever think that he doesn't see our tears or hear our cry. In fact, who should we be crying out to? Who should we be, sharing those things? And one of the things we do at the retreat is we talk about prayer. And we teach the different types of prayer, corporate prayer, how to really get radical with our prayer, how to have time with God and really begin to pray and talk to him. We have to get to the place where we stop this, pretending. And I get it. We serve a lot of people, so we can't lead and bleed on them. But where does the strong woman actually outpour? Have you been keeping it all in? Have you been keeping it all in and not sharing what it is that you're going through? Listen, one of the things I love about, my relationship with Pastor Luke is he always comes out with something that potentially I wasn't expecting. And sometimes we can say, oh, I know what you're going to say. You never know what that person's going to say. And you know why? Especially if you're around somebody who is growing. I always say to, my mentees and, the ladies, my sisters, I say, never ever feel like you can't come to me and share something and never ever assume you know what I'm going to say. You know why? Because I'm developing every day. So something that I've developed in today, you may come to me and I may give you a different answer to what I was going to give last week. When you're around mentorship that's also growing, this is another thing that you really want to be able to assess who you're listening to. Who are you sharing? Who's your accountability partners? Who are the people that you're surrounding yourself with? Can you be transparent and honest? Or are you keeping it all buried up inside? One of my things is I believe that every woman has a story. I believe that every woman in some shape or form is either rebuilding, has rebuilt, or is about to go into their rebuild. And one of the things I've learned is how to share the story where not only there's healing, but also helping other people to heal as well. But before we help others, you know that old saying, before you put somebody else's mask on, you got to put your own on. And it's so important. It starts at the top. It's so important. And I'm not saying lead and bleed online. I'm not saying that you go online or you share with your mentees and you start telling the business, oh, I'm going through this. Guys, my bank account empty. Me broke like a dog. Now you're going to actually start to de-edify yourself and give yourself bad credibility. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is to have mentorship, to have an inner circle, to have an accountability group where you can be honest and you can actually release. You know, some of us have so much dark secrets on the inside of us that's what's giving us sickness, that's what's giving us, you know, wrinkles and bad skin, right? I remember one of the ladies, she works in mental health and deals with the physical and the spiritual side of the body, and was saying that a lot of the time it's stress and secrets and all this bent up anxiety is what gives physical problems in the body. And finally, number 5 is to really let God heal you. Like to be open and transparent enough to let him heal you. In Psalms 147 verse 3, he actually says, you know, he heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Like that's deep. He heals the brokenhearted and bounds up their wounds. And I will say this, strong woman, you have the advice for everyone else. You help to heal other people. You will pray for other people, but you don't have to be everything to everyone. And I want to release someone today, you know, who feels like they have to be everything to everyone. It's okay to rest. It's okay to say no sometimes. It's okay to let someone else carry you for once without feeling like, oh my gosh. And I'm saying this because I believe that God is truly calling each and every one of us back to him. There's a big job to be had, but he's not calling us back to him as a servant, you know, or like a giver, but just as his daughter, as his child. He's calling us back to really sit under him as his child, as a father. Think about a father and a child. There's no expectation. It doesn't matter what you do. That father will still love you. That father is there to cover you, right? He's calling us back as children of God. And yes, our goal is to go and spread the good news. But also I understand, and y'all can be honest with me and say, how many people have had good news to spread, but the way they spread it turned us off? Or how they said it, we didn't really connect with them. So many people, I'm saying this humbly, they say to me, Nikki, just the way that you share the Bible makes me even want to read the Bible more. It makes it more interesting. The way you share those stories, the way you don't judge, the way we were able to come to this event and come as we are. I'd never felt so comfortable in an event to share like that. You know, it's not just what you say, it's how you say it as well. And so we have to get to a place where even though we're helping and sharing the good news, how we do it is going to be important. And the how we do it is based on who we are. If we are angry, if we are broken, if we have trust issues, it's going to be harder for us to connect with the people that we're supposed to serve. So when we look back and we see, you know, the back into the scripture where he's saying that there's going to come a time where people are doing all what looks like on the outside my work, but they will still not get into the gates. He's talking about how we do it, who we are, our character. It's not just about getting the results. It's not just about the money in the bank. It's not just about saying, you know, I've helped all these people. I've helped save these souls, you know. It is about who we are, our character, the relationship that we have with God ourselves. And if we can't trust him, just like the disciples in the boat, we can't trust him to know he's put people in our life for a reason. If we can't trust him to know that we deserve to be poured into, if we can't trust him to heal us, if we can't trust him to see our tears, if we can't trust him to let him know that we are more than what we do for others, if we cannot trust him to know that we deserve to be poured into too, if we cannot trust him with our brokenness, if we cannot trust him to actually rest, then how do we expect to get to that next level? How do we expect to build that relationship? My prayer for each and every person on this call today is that you find a safe space. You find a safe space where you can literally be the strong woman that you've been called to be. You still serve, you still help, you still grow, you still do all the things. But you find, and we're going to talk about this next week about how to really find that. You know, how to find that person you trust, how to build those relationships. But one of the things I can say to you is this has been on my heart for a long time. And, you know, before anything happens, God always gives you the provision. It's weird because when he said start the rebuild community for the strong woman, it made no sense. It made no sense because I was like, the strong women don't listen to me, Lord. How do I help the old me who never listened to anyone, who had this ego, who knew everything? And you're now giving me the challenge to help those that know everything. Lord, come on now, pull the other one. Give me a different assignment. Because the people that you're telling me to serve don't want me to tell them because they believe they know everything. And he said, create the community, create the event. Do you know, I can be transparent in this call. I was so humbled to see the type of people that came to the event. We're talking about leaders, bosses, you know, people of high stature that came to the event. And I said, God, you did that. Because if it was down to me, I'd still be Jonahing, right? If it was down to me. But you see, at some point, we've got to trust God. At some point, we've got to say, he knows the way. I'm going to stop panicking like those disciples in the boat, and I'm just going to trust him. I'm going to hear the word, and I'm going to be the word, and I'm going to do the instruction without doubt. Faith. Faith. To have true faith and understand that there is a God that sees us as his child. So we can smile, just like the song we listened to at the beginning. No matter what we're going through, no matter what storms we're going through, we can continue to smile because he has us covered. Ladies, if you are on this call and you're not a part of the Rebuild community, I want to encourage you because this is not just a sisterhood like the sisterhoods of, you know, what you've seen. This is a sisterhood where we really get deep. Where yes, we work out your purpose and we work out strategy. I'm a girl for systems. I want to help you to get the balance back. I want to help you set up systems so you can get rest. I want to help you to be able to solidify yourself. But I know that the strong woman knows it all. I know that the strong woman would hear this message and think, nah, it's not for me. And it's you that it is for. It's the one that says it's not for me, is you that it is for. And I'm humbly telling you this. God has anointed me to help the strong woman. He's anointed me. Why? Because I kind of resonate with y'all a little bit. He's given me a mentor. He's shown me through strategy, biblical strategies, how to help the strong woman. And I'm not just talking money. Money is a byproduct. That's easy, right? I'm talking about the real balance, the love, self-love, family, how to strategize in different situations, how to steward. And what we're doing over there is we are really putting in the work, the honest integrity and, you know, real biblical based community. And when you get over there is you get a masterclass a month, which by the way, this month's one is this Thursday, okay, 7 p.m. UK time. So if you're a part of the community by this Thursday, you will be able to get into that masterclass where we're going into storytelling, right? You also get homework from the masterclass and you get weekly homework as well inside the community. You also get discounts, actually 50% off all of the retreats going forwards. If you are interested in one of the retreats, it makes sense to be a part of the Rebuild community. Just for that one retreat, you'll make back so much more money, right? So I've designed it to be able to help the everyday person, right? It's currently £97 per month, which is, it's peanuts for the system and the and the content and all of the, you know, the value that you get over there. You know, we also have, you know, not only the masterclass, you get once a quarter a one-on-one with me. I don't know how long that is going to last for the new people, but those of you that are in always have that every quarter one-on-one until I probably get to about 100. And then after that, we'll let the ambassadors start to do some of the one-to-ones. But you get a chance to do one-on-one with me, and I help you strategize with whatever your goal is as well. Right. And so I want to say to you now to take action because I really believe that it gets to a point where we have to decide that we are also worth it. And some people will say, Nikki, and maybe you're a strong woman, maybe you have it on the gram, but deep down you're like, I can't really afford £97. That's why you need it. Because no strong woman should not be able to afford £97 to invest in herself on a monthly basis. It just shouldn't even be. And so this is where I had to humble myself. I had to humble myself and say, if I don't have the results that I want, I've really got to put myself in. And I tell you this, I just see Danielle type in the chat. Shout out to Danielle, just got baptized last week. We're working on the spiritual, we're working on the physical, the emotional, the healing, the forgiveness, all of that stuff. But most importantly, no matter what your goal is, you will be transformed. You cannot come in and stay the same. It's impossible. And again, I say that with my chest because I know the God that I serve. I know that the hand of God is on this company. The Rebuild community is not like any community you've ever been in before. We are literally transforming life. I've actually got a goal this year for more baptisms. Those of you that are in the UK, because obviously the community is worldwide, but those of you that are in the UK, we're all doing we're meeting up next week Sunday, not this week, next week Sunday, and we're all going church together. So anybody that wants to come, please let me know. And we're going to be going to church together. It's a new season, it's a new day, and we're not playing anymore. Like the devil is mad right now because there's been a whole new level lifted. And I'm telling you, it's unheard of. I want to tell you something that happened at the event, which a lot of you saw. My girl from TikTok, who was suicidal when I first met her, and has completely changed her life around. She was walking up and down on the we had her walking up and down on the red carpet. And we were talking about mental health and how important it is to have a sisterhood around. And, somebody reached out to me inside the community and was like, Nikki, I am actually a counselor and I want to give her 8 sessions for free. I want to work with her. This is the aftercare that we're talking about. Now, here's the interesting part about this year that the Lord actually told me, he was like, Nikki, you are the modern day Nehemiah. You're going to help people rebuild the walls. And not just rebuild the walls, but just like Nehemiah, who assigned people on the gates, you're going to put the right people in the right areas. And I honestly believe that my networking and my banking and all the experience that I've had is now suddenly making sense. The light bulb is making sense now that I'm now being used as a vessel to connect people, connect the right people together. We also had a few people that hadn't been to church in a long time and reached out to Pastor Natalie and Pastor, and we were able to connect, and Pastor Natalie brought a few to church and they're starting to regain their faith. I believe that God is using this to really bring people together. We're also going to align the rich with the poor. We're also going to start to really build strategies and really start to break yokes. And I just encourage you guys, if you've even been in the rebuild before and you have a perception of what it was before, there's a new level right now. There's a new level. So I'm really excited about what's happening. We also have the Croatia retreat coming up, and that is May. May, I don't know if Charmaine is on, she can put it. We've got so many dates of stuff coming. The next retreat is actually sold out, which is this weekend, and then we have another one in May. Okay. And again, if you're interested in that life transformational stuff, right? So I do want to encourage you, strong woman, to find ways to pour into yourself, to find ways to build sisterhood, to find ways to give yourself the love in which you desire. I really, really want you to do that because I genuinely believe that that's the only way that we're going to be able to continue to serve and do God's work. So with that being said, all right, I'm going to drop in the link for the mentorship. I'm also going to encourage you, if you haven't already, to secure your ticket for the event in November. The wait list is out, so if you haven't done that already, please make sure you do that. That's comeasyouare.vip. All right, that will allow you to secure your ticket. I will let you guys know as well that the ticket for the VIPs will allow you there on the Friday. So I'm having a special dinner with the VIPs on the Friday night. And then we'll have an evening of celebration and also an evening of training, special training for the VIPs on the Friday. And then we have the Saturday and the Sunday where everyone will be able to come. So this event, if you was on the last one, we're not going to play any games. You will be able to come to the whole experience and it's going to be fabulous. So VIPs will be there from Friday night. And then you have the everybody else will be there Saturday and Sunday. So all that information will come out to you. How can I upgrade my ticket? All the information will come out to you. When it comes out, you can just select and then you'll be able to upgrade if you put a deposit down, then that's fine. Or if you've just selected it, it will come out to you again and then you can just select the one that you want. All right, but I'm excited about what God is doing in this season. I'm really excited to be working with you. Also, as well, once you come into the community, you can book your one-on-one with me. Charmaine is the contact. She has my diary, and then we have a one-on-one once every quarter as well. So I'm just looking forward to speaking with each and every one of you. And my prayer is that you can go forth and, you know, really be who God has called you to be because you're rested and you're really thinking from a clear mind. Strong woman, I love you. Have an absolutely amazing day. And I will see you all on the very next call. We are doing 7 a.m.s on the same link. So if you're up early, 7 a.m., it's only a 20-minute call just to get you ready for work or get you ready for, you know, school run or whatever. So you can click this same link, 7 a.m. Monday to Friday, and you will be able to have that motivation at 7 a.m. in the morning. So back tomorrow morning. I love you all. Keep building brick by brick, and let's do this together. Let's go.